Yamsayo, all my beautiful people. How are you doing today? Welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee. Welcome to everyone who is new, and welcome back everyone who has been watching this channel. And thank you so much for all the comments that you guys are leaving. I greatly appreciate it. Today we are going to talk about the treadmill child abuse murder case, which is involving Christopher Garrett. And I want to talk about this trial because it is very, very strange. We already did one video on this trial, and this case just keeps getting stranger and stranger. So the last couple of days, testimony has literally just been one person each day, and the days have been cut short. Yesterday, there was a lot of testimony from the cellular data person who really dug into the cell data from Christopher's phone and from Brianna's phone. It was also brought into question whether that evidence should have been admitted. So I do want to talk about some things in this trial that are rather disturbing. A lot of you guys brought up some things from my last video, which I appreciate. Also, I do want to mention I'm still in Arizona. As you can see, it's very sunny and beautiful here. You'll hear some background noise, so I apologize. But I do like doing these videos outside because the weather is so nice and natural light is better than the unnatural light that I use when I'm indoors. So anyway, so I do want to talk about that treadmill video, okay? So let's go back to the treadmill video. A lot of people left some comments and pointed out that, Christopher bit Corey on the head in the video. I apologize. I did not notice that at first. I just was more paying attention to how many times Corey fell off the treadmill and had to get back up and get on the treadmill, and how he was such a trooper and was really running at full speed and kept getting back up and was trying to run on that treadmill. And as I had mentioned in my video before, if you've ever taken an Orange Theory class, because I'm not a runner, like I'll just tell you right now, if you see me running, you better run too, because that means there's something happening, okay? But I've seen people on treadmills at Orange Theory like run at full speed, and I don't know how they do it and how they keep up, but this kid was a champ. Like, he was running, and he was running for 12 minutes before his dad went over and cut that treadmill up and the incline up. And that kid kept going, and he kept trying, and he kept getting on there. So I was really focused on that part of the video. I did not see the part until you guys pointed it out. So thank you so much for that. But that wasn't just a bite. Like, that was a long, like, mouth teeth on that child's head, like pushing down pressure. That was horrific. But I know, you guys are like, why is there a but? But I have the but because I know a lot of people are calling this the treadmill child abuse murder case, and I get that. The reason there's a but for me is because a lot of times in a trial, and this is probably dependent on the trial judge, the case, the state, or what have you, what is admissible, what is not. But because this is not what killed Corey, and I know a lot of you out there are like, yeah, but this shows a pattern of abuse by Christopher, and I understand that, but at the same time, this is implanted in the juror's mind, that video. Much like it's been implanted in my mind, it's been implanted in your minds. So that treadmill video has already been put into the minds of the jurors. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, right? And as most of you pointed out to me about the biting him in the video that I didn't catch, those jurors are going to be able to rewatch that video in their deliberations. So that is already out there. It's there, and the jury has seen it. So all they're going to see and think about now is him forcing that child on the treadmill. But what the prosecution has to prove is that Christopher did something. His actions killed Corey on April 2nd, not March 20th, April 2nd. So regardless of what Christopher did to Corey prior to April 2nd, now, could they show reports of child abuse? Could they show there was a pattern of child abuse? Could they show that Brianna reported him for child abuse 100 times? Yes. But that video, they're making it sound like that is the cause of Corey's death, and it is not the cause of Corey's death. Rather, to me, as a alternate juror, as I appoint myself to be, that is prejudicial for the defense. And I think that showing that video makes it seem that they're going to base their whole decision on that video, even though that is not what killed Corey. So you guys tell me what you think about that. If you were being charged with murder, would you want a video that is 2 weeks old from the actual crime to be shown? Because I say this because the cell data from that investigator was enough to incriminate, enough circumstantial evidence to incriminate Christopher for the death of Corey. It still does not explain how Corey died. It doesn't explain what happened to Corey. But what it does explain is the actions of Christopher after Corey's death. Because Corey died at 5 o'clock on April 2nd. Now, what did Christopher do? Christopher deleted all of his messages from between he and Brianna. We don't know when, but we know that there were over 3,000 messages between he and Brianna that were not on Christopher's phone, but were still on Brianna's phone. We know that Christopher researched, can your phone be tracked in airplane mode? We know that Christopher researched, can you be tracked by car? We know that Christopher researched, how long after an autopsy does it take to be charged with murder? We know that Christopher researched, when does internal bleeding happen from the liver? We know that Christopher researched, what kind of charges can you be charged with? We know he traveled to Tennessee the next day. We know he didn't tell Brianna that their child died. We know that he put his phone in airplane mode. We know that he took actions and steps to hide where he was or what he was doing, and the fact that Corey died. We also know that he resisted arrest. We know a lot of things and moves that he made to prevent himself and disconnect himself from Corey's death. So that alone is enough to say that he was screaming guilt or fear or whatever. So I kind of don't think that they needed the treadmill video. I believe that they showed well enough that he was a bad guy, a bad father, and in a lot of other ways. Also, to notate, someone also notated in my comment section that he was an adult. He was 22 and Brianna was 16. So that's a big age gap. So I'm pretty sure he knew he had a child. He didn't want to be a part of that child's life when he found out he knocked up a teenager. So I think that by the time he, was being forced to pay child support, that this was kind of a control thing for him. And this was more like, I just find it odd that how does a person who hasn't been a part of a child's life in the first 4 years of his life get custody, full custody? I get that Brianna went through some things, that she, had a drug habit, but why does the father who hasn't been in his life for 4 years get automatic full custody? It just is kind of strange to me. Okay. Also, today they had the judge, the defense tried to get the cell data and all that information thrown out as evidence. I don't know how that could hurt your case any more than that treadmill video, but they tried to get it thrown out. The judge went through a whole rigmarole of why he wasn't going to throw that information out and why he felt it was part of the case. So he talked about that this morning. And then they had a medical examiner get on the stand, the prosecution did, that explained a lot of the injuries that Corey had. He had a severed liver. He had a heart, a shattered heart. He had organs that were utterly destroyed. He had, I mean, clearly a lot of blunt force trauma to a lot of organ failure. Things that happened to him where he was clearly beaten. It looked as if he possibly could have been thrown or kicked or some sort of like blunt force trauma that was done to him in ways that, I mean, like he was used as a human punching bag. And this all, according to this ME, occurred between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. So as we know, because that weird video that was taken by Brianna, because remember my last video, I said something happened to Corey between the time Brianna left the hospital to the time that he was brought to the hospital again with Christopher. Well, that video was taken in the car by Brianna, and Corey was talking just fine. So the ME did point out that video, Corey was answering questions, he was talking, he sounded cognitive. So, and that was at 9 a.m. in the morning when he was being dropped off to Christopher. So that means that something happened after she dropped him off. So that means it has to be Christopher. And Christopher was texting someone and he was taking selfies with Corey, and Corey was asleep, it appeared, next to Christopher. So was he asleep or was he already unconscious at that time? And this was at like 2:05 in the afternoon. So what was Christopher doing to Corey? I believe that, I mean, I feel like Christopher may have been kicking him, beating him, throwing him around. I'm not really sure. But the few text messages that were mentioned that Brianna told Christopher that he hurt Corey's feelings by telling him that, you know, he needed to toughen up, and, you know, that he had thrown a football at Corey and Corey didn't catch it or something in his hand. And Christopher made a comment that was not even tough skin or something. I mean, he's 6 years old, you know, so I know that a lot of people think we baby our kids, and, you know, but she was like, you know, you hurt his feelings. You could have been a little nicer to him. But I think Christopher has a way of tough love that is not tough love. I think it's just mean. So, and I know this because, you know, when I told you guys I was going to go back and watch the video, even though it was going to be very traumatic for me, it's traumatic for me because my father did the same thing to me, not with the treadmill, but the biting. That my dad bit me when I was a kid several times. So I understand how that feels, and it was very traumatic for me to see that, and it takes someone, it takes a person that it takes a certain kind of person to be that evil and to do something like that to a child. So I just feel like Christopher's case is not going very well. Also, things that are the guy was doing the day of his son's death, I don't think that he intended, if that makes any sense to you guys, I don't think that he intended to kill Corey that day. I think that he got to a point where he beat him so badly that he had no choice but to take him to the hospital, which is why I think he ran after the fact. He didn't even tell Brianna that Corey had died. Someone else did that. So I'll let that loud car pass. So I think that he was really trying to avoid the situation and disconnect himself from it as much as possible, because I really believe that he was punishing Corey to punish Brianna. So you guys let me know what you think about this. Also, the prosecution does not have their final witness available until May 22nd. Y'all, today is May 8th. I did not realize this trial was going to go on that long. So the prosecution has temporarily rested. The jury was let go early today. The defense is going to start their case, but they don't even have enough witnesses to last until the 22nd. And Dr. Botnick is going to testify on the 23rd. So I don't understand what's happening with this trial, but we can't have this much of a gap for the jury, because that leaves too much time for the jury to be influenced by outside things, internet, TV, YouTube channels. So I don't really know how this is going to work out, but today's only the 8th. There's not enough witnesses to fill. So I'm not really sure how they're going to handle it. I do know that they are going to let the prosecution rest and let their witnesses go out of order. The defense is going to start their side. But this is weird because there's still 2 more weeks to go. So I'm not really sure if they're going to just do half days, if they're going to take day breaks in between. I don't know. But you guys let me know what you think about the situation. Someone did mention in the comments as well about teachers seeing bruises on Corey. I will tell you this. I know personally some administrators and teachers in the education field, obviously, and it is their job and it is their duty to report suspected child abuse. Clearly, the system failed this child. There are so many things that failed this child. This was a completely preventable death. But for some reason, for whatever reason, somebody dropped the ball and didn't do their job. And this happens a lot because there aren't enough social workers. There's not enough people out there who are doing their job. And every one of these cases is preventable. And Corey didn't have to die. But somebody out there dropped the ball. A teacher, a social worker, a doctor. You know, Brianna was clearly doing everything she could to get him away from Christopher. But because she flubbed up one time, she flubbed up, okay? She had an addiction. She flubbed up. It happens. People make mistakes. We are not perfect. We are human. She tried to get better. She did get better, but that wasn't enough for the state or for anyone else. So he continued to have that child and he killed that child. So that's what I think right now. You are innocent until proven guilty, but things are not looking good for this man. And a lot of you have also pointed out how he has been crying in court. I don't know if he's crying, you guys. I've seen a lot of tissue wiping the nose, but I haven't seen necessarily any tears come out of his face. So I don't know if he's sad. He did turn down the 30-year plea bargain. He did have that on the table. So he's taken this all the way. I don't know, you guys. You tell me, what do you think could have happened to him? Because I'm not getting any what happened. How did Corey die? There is no answer. There's theories. There's evidence that shows that there was a lot of blunt force trauma. There is no evidence to show pneumonia or sepsis. It's not possible for sepsis. It's not possible for pneumonia because the mother had him at the emergency room earlier that morning. There is no possibility of that. So I'm interested to see what Dr. Botnick is going to say. Keep in mind, Dr. Botnick is paid lots and lots of money for his expert analysis. Lots and lots. But keep in mind also, he did not do the autopsy. He's just looking over reports and picking and choosing what he feels is important for his analysis. He is well-renowned, very, very, very well-renowned, and he's very expensive. So I don't want to downplay Dr. Botnick at all, but I'm just saying. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I will give you your Korean fact of the day. Your Korean fact of the day today is South Korea is the #1 plastic surgery country in the world. So I appreciate you all very much. Please like, subscribe, and share, and please keep leaving your comments. I guess since this trial is going to be dragging along for quite some time, we are going to talk about the Karen Reed trial and how that is going. I will catch you up on that later, and I appreciate you all again. Again, leave your comments, like, subscribe, and share. Kamsahamnida.